Hi guys, I'm back again with my friends, with my classmates from Tri-C, and we all just finished our first semester of theory in Theory 1, and we wanted to talk about what our experience was like, so that maybe if anyone's about to start stenography school or is just getting started on their journey, they can kind of know what to expect. What was Theory 1 like for you guys?
It was good. Loved our instructor. She was great, very helpful. It wasn't really too bad for me until the end when it got a little more complex. And by the end too, was I was kind of tired, you know. But the class itself wasn't bad material wise. It's just a lot practice wise, the time you put in.
I agree. No, they ease you into it, but once you get into it, you're into it, and it's a ton of work. Like if you do not break up your practice time throughout the day, like you're gonna get so overwhelmed you don't even do it, and then you're cramming at the very end of the week. But theory, yeah, you just start with like little baby stuff. You do cat, hat, bat, all that stuff, and then you get into multi-syllable words, which is really fun. It's cool because you get pretty bored after a while typing the same words over and over again. It's kind of fun to do those big words, but it's also really hard and it can be discouraging.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It's very tiring, but I found it really fun. So.
Yeah.
I would say pretty similar to Desi and Victoria. I really liked being able to start off slow, just learning those really basic words like cat, hat, whatever. It was definitely a relief to start writing sentences since for the first couple of weeks, you're kind of just writing words without them being in sentence form. So once you can write in sentences and you get they get a little more complex, it's really fun. And yeah, I really like Theory One overall. But yeah, I think a big adjustment was just like needing to do that 15 hours per week of practice. And that's really just dictation writing since that's not really including warm-up times. So like realistically, you might be sitting, 18, 20 hours in front of your machine. And also just spending like 2 to 3 hours every day became a big part of my routine as well. Like even on weekends, every single day doing like, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours doing dictations and getting more comfortable on the machine. Like you really need to be disciplined, but it's really fun too. So I think if you enjoy it, like it's a lot, but I think you'll enjoy the process.
To bounce off of what everyone has already said, I found it really fun to like progress through each thing. Like we started with letters and then we started with small words. And then at the halfway point of the semester, she goes, "You can write every single one syllable word." And you're like, wow, like that is amazing. I've already accomplished that. And then we also did numbers and we did finger spelling. And then, yeah, we got to the multi-syllable words, like everyone said. And so, like, seeing that progression and seeing yourself improve is like huge. And like everyone said, I think our instructor was like a really high point for us because she was very kind. She was very understanding. She understood like what we were going through, and she would always answer our questions, like any question, anytime. So she was really helpful. What was the hardest part of theory for you? Like, how did you get through it, and what would you recommend? Like, something that people will need to be able to get through theory one.
So I think honestly the hardest part for me was just being consistent with the practice. Because like you guys were saying, it's 2 to 3 hours a day of practice, and then your other schoolwork on top of that. So that could easily be like 4 hours, a day. And while I do have like a strong support system at home, they don't really know what we're going through. So I think the thing that actually helped me the most was having this chat with you guys, this group chat. So I think connecting with other peers in your class will really help because they know what you're going through. If you want to vent, you could vent because it can be at a very emotional roller coaster throughout school.
Yes, I agree. A lot of crying, but it's super rewarding.
Yeah.
Like you see the reward almost immediately, which is very cool about this school. Like when you're doing prerequisites in college and you're just doing all this miscellaneous work to get to this certain point, it's just like, ah. But here, like you're learning the trade immediately, and I love that because that's how I function. I'm very hands-on. I'm not a studious person. I think like at our halfway point, I just got super burnt out. I was diagnosed with PMDD in the middle of school. And so like I would have weeks where I couldn't even like function and get out of bed. And so Like that was really hard. But like you guys all, like we all talked about, Colleen is amazing. And so if there was one week where I could only get 15,000 strokes, then we have the option for extra credit every week. And so when I was feeling better, then I would just add that extra amount of strokes the next week.
Yeah, so let me see. So I think the low point for me, I think kind of similar to Desi, just having that discipline, really needing to do it every day and kind of scheduling the rest of your life in a way around school. At least that's how it was for me. And I think in terms of like lesson content, learning multi-syllable words is a little tricky for sure. But progress is quick. Like, so that makes it a lot easier too, because you can really see your progress and even from one day to the next, you can, see significant improvements and gains, which is really cool. But yeah, I would say just kind of the discipline part or like the time management part is definitely, I think, the trickiest. And that's what I've heard from a lot of other students too. I definitely agree that like having support is super important. So like it's great to connect with your classmates, like make a group chat. So yeah, just really the time management part and managing all those moving pieces in addition to whatever else you have going on in your life.
I would say probably the hardest part for me was also like pushing through all the practice. Sometimes it's just like super boring. Sometimes you're just so tired or you just don't want to do it. Yeah, towards the end, it got really, really hard to push through all those practice hours, but we're all here. We're going to
We did
theory
it.
two in another week or two. So, all right. So to finish this out, I wanted to ask you guys what is like any advice or encouragement you would give to yourself back at the beginning of theory one, and maybe that could serve as advice or encouragement for a new student who's about to begin their court reporting journey.
Maybe just knowing how much time you need to schedule out, be prepared for that already. Because I did go into the program not thinking we had to put that much in every day. So I think already being mentally prepared for that and moving things around beforehand would help a lot.
Yes, I agree. People don't know what to expect getting into this kind of field and this schooling, but just expect it to consume your life. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of wife guilt, mom guilt, friend guilt. Just plan out enough time so that you can still have a life because that's super important, even if that means waking up early in the morning or staying up late at night. Yeah, and all the classes on top of theory, you just got to think about that. You like have to like fight yourself to death to start doing it during the day, but once you do it, you're like, okay, it's not that bad. And then it's the same battle. You're like, God, I don't want to do it. I have to go do this and this. But then you do it, and then it's fine. It's just this constant roller coaster, and yeah, cry if you need to cry, get it out of your system because I do. It's stressful, but it's also fun.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think the most important thing would probably be kind of scheduling in advance your practice time. And kind of, I would say before you even like start school and take on that commitment, start seeing how you can schedule stuff. If you have to maybe do your practice in like little blocks instead of like, 2 hours all at once or something like that. Just start thinking about that in advance. And I think also sticking to a consistent practice schedule is helpful as well. Another thing would be to take breaks during your practice sessions too. Because I feel like if you just sit in front of your machine for like 2 hours, it can feel like a total drag. And so I think just, maybe every 30 minutes, an hour, however often, just take a little break, walk around, get some water, get some snacks, do whatever you need to do to like take a little brain break and, hand break. I think also if you need to take a day off every now and then, don't beat yourself up about it either, because those days off, they can reduce burnout and they can make you more effective like, when you do go back to practice as well. And I think like the others said, there are definitely sacrifices, but I think steno is really fun and seeing how quick the improvements are, especially when you first start is really cool. And it can make you more confident in yourself and your abilities. I would also say make a group chat for sure. Find your other students, figuring out your meal planning as well, and just other, things that you need to live. I wasn't able to cook like at all really during the weekdays. And so, just kind of doing that in advance and knowing I had to like meal prep or my husband did most of the cooking, to be totally honest. Just things like that. Like just try to make sure you have a plan in advance for, how you're going to do all those other things that aren't related to school.
And I'll give mine as well. I would say it's really hard. Be ready to do something really hard. I would say it takes a lot of time. Be ready to give a lot of your time. I would say, like you guys had said, it's really rewarding to see yourself get better every day. And I would say if you need to take a nap because you just cannot function, take a nap. It's okay. You'll come back and you can practice a little later. And I would say have a plan for like your favorite like restaurant or snack or something, and like if you're having like a really hard time or you feel like you've worked really hard that week, take yourself out to get some food. So that would be my advice to me. But yeah, I hope this helps give you an idea of like what the first semester as a new stenography student is like. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and thank you guys for joining. Yay. Hey everyone! So I filmed that a couple weeks ago, but I'll give you my week update for this week. Week 2 was honestly really chill, like there's not much to report. Because there was no new material, just reviewed lesson 1 for the whole week for 15 hours. And my second class is also very light so far. I think I'm figuring it out and it's not that much work. So with just the 2 classes, I had a really calm week. Next week though, my 3rd class of the summer starts up, so I wonder what kind of workload that's gonna have. And I'm also traveling for my sister's graduation this week. So next week's vlog, I'll take you on my travel setup for stenography practice. So look forward to that. If you have any additions or questions to today's video, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.